Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome, as I said, to the first AI Changemakers live webinar. We have three fantastic changemakers lined up for you this evening who are going to talk about and are going to share the ways that they have been embracing and utilizing AI within their classrooms and their education settings. So as I said, you have the comment section. Please say hello to us. Please give a shout out. Please, any questions that you may have, you can put in there and we will get to along the way. But I just want to take the time to introduce myself. My name is Alex Gray. I am a founder of a platform called Deep Professional. And along with that, I also host the International Classroom podcast. Now, the purpose of the AI Changemakers was to bring together educators originally within the UAE and to be able to offer that supporting network about innovation and implementation. But we are joined tonight also by someone who reached out and said, hey, I want to be a part of that. I fancy a little bit of that, Mr. Barry Cooper, who is our inaugural kind of global ambassador, who helps us think about things that are going on around the world and really stay true to the mantra that we want with Deep, which is about developing education by enhancing performance. So everything you are going to see this evening is to do with about supporting you as educators and for helping enhance your performance in the classroom. Now, as I said, we have three fantastic speakers who I'm going to bring on very, very soon. Mr. Barry Cooper, Principal, he's going to be joining us all the way from Spain. We have Katia Reed and Phil Long, both teachers here within the UAE. So without further ado, I'm going to bring these guys into our group discussion as well. So you have to bear with me because I have to bring them all in one at a time. We have Phil, Katia, and Barry. Guys, welcome to this very first webinar this evening. Thank you ever so much for joining us. I just want to go around and for those, just introduce yourself and maybe for those people that maybe aren't aware of some things you're doing, where you are, what you do. So Phil, top right, we will start with you.
Hi, Alex. Thanks for having us on tonight. I'm really excited to be here and share with you what we're doing here at Arcadia School. Like I said before, I'm the head of Street AI and Innovation in the primary sector at Arcadia School. So been living and working in the UAE for about 6 years now. Before that, I was in Thailand for 5 years. Crafted my trade as a primary school teacher before switching to the innovation and stream role about three years ago, really. So yeah, delighted to be here and just kind of getting behind the whole innovation movement behind in the UAE and just share my experiences, really, offer my insights and take as much away from this podcast today as hopefully I can give as well. So
fantastic. Well, thanks for joining us, Phil. Really appreciate it. Katia.
Hello, yeah, my name is Katia Reed and I'm a head of ESL and I also teach Mandarin Chinese. I liaise with the parents and I also will be teaching AI literacy next year. Yeah, I've worked for the North American International School and I live in Dubai since 2013. So quite a long time now. And yeah, it's very exciting. It's very exciting. As a head of ESL, AI is amazing for the second language users. It brings a lot of help to second language users. So yeah, I love it. I think it's brilliant. It's nice to see you. Thank you.
Well, thank you for joining us this evening. Appreciate it again. And that's Mr. Barry Cooper. Welcome.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm Barry. I'm a school principal. I live in Spain. Before this, I helped start Brighton College Dubai and then Wellington College in China. And then I was part of boarding setups in HMC schools in the UK. And we've just got our HMC membership here in Spain. So we're very excited about that. AI is where it's all at the moment. And I love listening to your stuff, Alex, because I know you talk about this quite a lot on your other podcast. So being here with Katia and Phil is fantastic. From my side, I'm a school leader, so it's about the management side of it, but I also teach as well. So I'm using this day in, day out in the classroom as well. So I'm excited about basically listening to Phil and Katia and stealing great ideas.
Well, it was a pleasure. Thank you all for joining us this evening. It's a real pleasure, and I'm really looking forward to listening and watching you guys share everything. But before we dive into that, a couple of things we really want to discuss as we move through this. Obviously, last week and into the weekend, Google, big announcements, obviously, in terms of what they're doing with their AI platform and how that's going to affect us as teachers. So I really want to dive into this just to start with, because obviously we've got VO there, the image of VO up on the screen at the moment. I've had a little play around with VO 2 on Gemini, and that was really good. But I don't know if any of you have seen these new videos about VO 3 with the sound that comes into it. Like, I can see Phil, Kat, you're all nodding away there. What's first impressions? Katia, what's your first impression of it?
Oh, it's incredible. Yeah, it's very close to reality, isn't it? Yeah, I do a lot of, my students do a lot of filming. So I actually was quite impressed by that. I thought that I can definitely use that. But yeah, it's a little bit scary because obviously we don't know where the reality is going to, and we can see how the technology progresses. And obviously what we'll have to teach is how to, how to know what's fake and what's not. So that's where it's scary a little bit. But for teaching, I think it's an amazing tool. It's good for storytelling. It's good for making your own videos.
Yeah. And Phil, we were talking about this morning because you said you kind of used it a little bit. How have you been implementing sort of these videos, texted videos within class?
Yeah, and I'll talk about it a little bit later on, but for me, it's all about bringing students' thoughts from their minds to life, because, young learners and obviously ESL learners as well, they just don't have the vocabulary. And even at secondary level as well, what comes into our brain, we don't always have those words to get out. And I think by using AI and being able to prompt AI to build on our cognition, our metacognition as well, and put those prompts in there, and then really see what we can see in our own minds or in our students' mind really come to the forefront on the screen is just a really magical experience, really. And I think that enables us to have really rich conversations. And then I'll talk a little bit about it as well in the presentation, but we take that and we upload it into our VR headsets, and we're able to really immerse our learners in the virtual reality environment that's created. We just find that such a great hook. So VA3, I've not had a play with that model yet, of course, but it's been really interesting to see, how we can incorporate some of that into our learning.
Yeah. On the other side of that, obviously, Barry, for you as a school leader, and you're looking at the bigger picture from the top down, do you see this as something that's going to have, like with creation and the things like with Google now saying, right, we've got things like the ability to give interactive quizzes, we've got the ability then to create and generate content, things that are more hands-on. As a school leader, do you see this as a real positive thing for interactive and engaging learning for students, or are you also that little bit cautious as well? Where do you sit with these things?
I'm gung ho with all of these sorts of things. As I'll talk about a bit later about how we kind of approach AI here. But I think the key thing for me is a lot of what's coming out at the moment is coming from Google. Google is ubiquitous. And so it makes the access to these things far more easy. It makes this part and parcel of the day. And I think the more we can do that and the more we can normalize the use of AI, the use of different technologies, the use of voice to text, for example, for students who maybe find it difficult to write, find it difficult using different forms of putting text down, I think the better the educational experience is going to be.
Yeah. And talking about that, and we're talking about educational experiences, specifically here within the UAE, one piece of news that we've had come out recently was the fact that it says on there that no inspections in Dubai's private schools. And I'm interested from Barry, who is obviously an ex-educator living and working within UAE as well, and Katia and Phil who are here, talking about those AI things that, and now we're going to have no barriers potentially, it's like no school inspection, no pressure. Do we think this is then a potentially good thing for schools to be able to trial, to be able to implement and be able to, let's say, try and embed some safe practice? Or do we think that potentially it's because there's not a framework ready yet, and therefore, where are we sitting with this? Phil, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's definitely no framework for it because there's no blueprint at all. So everyone's trying to put this together. And I think when you want to put something together for the first time, you have to take the time to put it together properly. And it's not something that can be rushed. Because I think if you rush it the first time, everyone develops their plans and then things just end up sticking and just, the wires get all confused at the back of the system. We're like, someone will put something in and then they just try and build on that bad mistake from the start. So I think taking the time to really think about what that framework is going to look like for schools is critical. I don't know if it's going to be something that's going to come immediately into the KHD inspection. I think they'll probably lean more towards the innovation. I think as they're still going around the schools and figuring out what everyone's doing, I think they're going to spend some time hopefully spend some time putting that framework together, and hopefully we can be part of that as well for the UAE. But in terms of getting it right, I think that's absolutely key. Schools are at very, very early starting points, and they're worried about what that would mean for their school inspection rating. I'm certain of that. No one's got any background in it, no one's got any expertise, and us alike, we're still figuring it out as well, and we'll continue to be on that journey as well, of course. So I'm cautious, I don't think that's why they put off the inspections. I think there's other reasons for that. Me personally, I would like an inspection at our school because I think we're ready to move up to that top bracket. We've put all the work in. So for us on a personal level, it's frustrating because I know we're at the outstanding mark and we're just for 2 years now. We won't be able to get there. So yeah, I don't know how schools in general feel about it, but I would love to just get the inspection done next year.
And what about you, Katia? Obviously, you're going into this new role next year. You're going to be overseeing AI and the implementation of it in your school. Like, do you find then not having this burdening on you? Is that a sense of relief for you to be able to get things done, or are you a bit like Phil? Like, you know what, I want an inspection, I want to see where we're at.
I agree with Phil. I think it's nice that they, that there will be no rush of getting it ready for the exact date, because obviously once you rush, you might have to cut corners, and I'd like to take time on making it as good as possible, really. So that's quite nice for me, and obviously will will give us some breathing space to make it to get it right. On the other hand, I know that's my administration and in the school. I think we do want an inspection too, so we're waiting for one, but obviously we're not going to have it. So yeah, that's that.
And then Barry, obviously you've lived and breathed it here. You know what it's like. You've then obviously gone off to Spain. What's the comparison like, in just from an international side, in terms of inspections within Europe and in Spain compared to here?
Yeah, we don't have a KHDA equivalent, but we're inspected by the various bodies that we're obliged to. So, IB, NIAS, CIS, etc., and then the local government, because we're an international school, it's slightly different. I think from my side, I appreciate where Katia and Phil are coming from in terms of the inspection and the need for that. But I think also there's a lot of expertise within the schools now, and I mean teaching expertise, that can maybe use this 1 year gap as a boon, and to ideate and to experiment and to get their own ideas in order before they start thinking about how KHDA is going to try and framework this. And I think feeding into KHDA and talking to them and helping them understand what's happening in the schools, which is what I think they're going to be interested in, is going to be far better for the education sector across Dubai than perhaps a framework exactly saying that was come to very quickly and without clear thought. So it's a great time for school leaders and for teachers to work out what really works for my kids, and also for KHDA to maybe have a bit of a peer and maybe pop into Katia and Phil and say, so come on, give me your good ideas, because I think that's what's really going to make the Dubai street ahead in the long run in terms of the use of AI in education.
Definitely. And obviously talking about that, what we are here for this evening is the showcase. You guys are all involved in the white paper. You're doing fantastic work. And we want to take those white paper ideas and put them really into action and show people how this looks within the classroom. So Phil, we want to start with you for this one. And you're going to take us through some of the things that you have been doing with AI in the classroom. So Phil, over to you.
Sure, thank you. Wasn't best sure how to approach this, but I just wanted to take it from a view that obviously, like I say, some of the things that we're doing across the whole of the primary school, not just what I'm doing. I think because most people that are hopefully watching and tuning in for this are probably not doing my job. They're probably classroom teachers that are looking at how they can implement AI and look at what other schools are doing. So similar to most schools, really, we're at the very start of our journey in terms of how we're implementing AI. But I'd like to think that we've got a really good idea of where we're at, where we're going, and in terms of upskilling our teachers and our students as well. So I just started off today, just kind of being honest with you a little bit about where we're at, and I've identified 6 steps on our roadmap of different places that I'd like us to get to. And obviously, Alex, you and I are working together in Arcadia as well to try and bring this in primary and secondary level. So we started off with the research. So we did a whole school survey to actually find out where our teachers are up to on their AI journey, rather than just trying to do the guesswork. We knew that teachers were using AI, but we just didn't know how they're using it, what they're using it for, or what all the different barriers are. So I think really, if you're a school leader or as a teacher, you need that voice. It's really important, understanding exactly, what's going on, because teachers are using it. They're not sure if they're using it right, and they want, they want that clarification. They want that. They want the tools. They want to just to be able to drive it forward. And then next, bring together your SLT with, the working party in your school and highlight that research, and then put together your action plan. As part of that action plan is about having your AI vision. And when we were doing the workshop, I think it was last week or the week before at the Teach Conference, and we had a good number of people in there, and barely any schools had an AI policy already implemented in their school, or if they did, certainly nobody in the room was aware of it. So I think schools have to get a really good AI policy from the start so that they know exactly how they want to roadmap that out. And I think we've got a really good work with steps towards that way there. And then hold mini conferences, even before the end of the year, if you can, at the start of next year. So obviously yourself, myself and Tom, we put on whole school PDs for the teachers, just to really wake them up and say, right, you're not alone with this. It's going to be big. It's getting bigger. It seems to double every single week. Just AI in terms of the tools and everything that's coming out, and all the information around it. So just get people on board, let them know that you're thinking about it, that you understand that it is going to be important for their professional development. And then step 4, where we're up to right now, is understanding what our ecosystem is going to be, and choosing the tools that you want to invest in, because I think there's 90,000 tools available, AI tools. I read that the other week. You've got to be really careful and clear about what it is that your school needs, and that's going to be different for you. So for me, the Google tools are the ones that are leading the way. We're an Apple school, but we use all the Google tools. So the Gemini Education is going to be a really, really important step for us in terms of the safeguard and the ethics behind how we protect student data, and that's really, really important as well. And over the last couple of weeks, I've been putting together our AI curriculum for primary next year, which will be a single 6-week block subject for every single student from year 1 to year 6, and just making sure that we're on the right foot with getting all that in really, really early. I'm not sure if I'll have time to really take you through all that, but just to know that we are on that path of actually teaching it as a subject, but also integrating it into other subjects as well, and really trying to get along on that path. Part of the whole AI vision for teachers, we recognise that AI will not happen well in schools if our teachers are not equipped with the training, the tools that they need to really support, facilitate, and implement the future learning, the future skills. So putting together EdTech pathways for teachers. So step 5 is individual pathways for teachers, rather than using the scattergun approach, which I think many schools are guilty for, where you're doing one thing one week, one thing another week, one thing another week. Actually having a pathway that says, right, if you're interested in generative AI, this is the path that you're on. If it's media for you, if it's research, if it's leadership, and having very clear pathways that enable teachers to really develop and grow themselves. And then step 6, I think once we've really got step 5 together, is the AI career pathways for students. And what I want to see for our secondary students is, what is the AI for? What are we using it? What's its purpose? And of course, that's to support the students when they leave our school. So setting up the Arcadia EdTech student pathway program, where students, in the secondary and in the primary as well, but mostly in the secondary, start to use specific AI tools that are going to support them in the future careers that they want as well. So I think that's where we're up to. And here it really is about AI in practice across our school from years 1 to 6, really. So we started in year 1. You can see around some of the different tools that we're using with students. But in year 1, we're really just using generative AI for students. So like I said before, students trying to bring their vocabulary to life through, especially when it comes to narrative writing. So for our English, where we build a scene, we build a picture for students, we put the hook and the prompts on the screen for them, and they're able to really visualize and bring out what's in their mind, see it on the screen, and really have that vocabulary and that picture development. Year 2, we're doing loads. My wife, kudos to her, she's leading, she's very into the AI as well. So we're already using the chatbots in maths, current supporting higher ability students. So they've got their own chatbots. They're doing all their own extension activities on there. And one thing that I love what they're doing is the class versus ChatGPT. So might give a scenario and say, right, let's brain dump all the vocabulary that we've got, and let's see if it's better than ChatGPT. And the students absolutely be engaged with it, like to try and think of the best words that can, and then they throw it to ChatGPT, it'll go back, and they go backwards and forwards. What I also love as well, they have the Alexia in the classroom. So Students will write a problem in maths, they'll solve the problem, and then they'll work with Alexia. They'll give the same problem to Alexia to see if they solve that problem in the same way. So it's just really engaging for them, and that self-assessment as a tool for self-assessment is brilliant. From year 3 to 6, again, we've got the chatbots, but we also introduced Canva here in year 3 all the way up to year 6. And obviously, our students, I mean, just see them grow with these tools so quickly. We started with year 5 last year, and now it's already down to year 3. And what they're able to make and produce in Canva is phenomenal. We give them Magic Studio, which is generative AI. So when they're making their presentations or their book creators, they've got access to creating those images as well as Canva. And then I've also noticed that some students, they've taken upon themselves with the parents at home. We're also becoming very aware of ChatGPT. They've already got it on their iPads. So obviously, we've not sanctioned it for them, but they're already recognizing that it is a better search engine than just using Google. And our students in year 4 are using Magic School in their writing. So the teacher's creating the rubric for them. They're doing their writing. They're taking the picture. They're receiving immediate feedback. Getting the green pen out, and off they go with their editing based on that immediate feedback. So it's great. It's a great tool for that. Obviously, we've got Centritech in there as well from year 3 up to all the way through to secondary. Actually, we've got Centritech. So that's a bit of AI in practice for our students. So for our teachers, like I said, they're all at very, very different journeys in terms of where they are. And here's some tools at the bottom that I've introduced to the teachers to help them support them in their journeys, with a view to many of these things being implemented into their EdTech pathway. So all of the primary school now have been trained to use Magic School, as well as all the specialist teachers as well. We know all the teachers are using ChatGPT. Many of them have the paid accounts because they realise the time saving, the administrative work that it helps them to deal with. And obviously they're using it for ideating and the planning, the resourcing, scaffolding, and I won't say personalising, but customising those resources for students as and when they need them. Even as much as live in class, where you're able to just pull it up and just say, right, here's the next extension, here's another question. Just really using it. For me, I've been over the last 3 weeks, I've really fallen in love with Gemini and Google AI Studio. And obviously all these updates that just come out this week are just phenomenal for me. So I think Google are winning the race at the moment. Don't know what Sam Altman will think of that. But in terms of the educational tools that it's throwing out there, I think they're really going to help us, support us with bringing that learning to life for teachers going forward. And we touched on it a little bit, obviously, at the start, so I don't really to go into it too much more, but just using those videos to really, and you can, what I love is you can just download them and throw them straight into the VR headsets and really bring that video to life. So, for example, in year 2, they, as part of our local area, which we know is quite a dry topic, the students become developers. They get a little letter from the Sheikh saying, we want you to redevelop this. They brain dump it all into AI. We want the new city to look like this. We generate several different images for them. And then off they go. They're drawing it, they're building it, they're using the Lego. They bring in the Spike and they start doing the coding even from a young age. So it's just brilliant. And one of the things I tried last week, I think maybe the week before, was the app creation on Google AI Studio, where I took a video, learned about the Mayans, put it straight into Google AI Studio, clicked create an app for me, and it created this recall app and questions about the Mayans, and it was a playable game for them live straight away off the video. So it was just such a really good way to reinforce the learning and for the student self-assessment as well. So yeah, brilliant. So that's some of the ways that we're using AI there as teachers, and there's several more obviously ways that we can give you. Udio. What I love about AI is it opens up the opportunity for students to present their learning in lots of different ways. So they can make a video, they can make slides, they can make a song. There's loads of different ways for them to present their learning. I just think that's just such a great thing, especially for students not really interested in writing. Bringing in all those multimedia and being able to to articulate what it is that they've learned, I think is great. And to be honest, reflects the workplace a lot more than some of the traditional methods as well. And then finally, the project-based learning stuff, which obviously I wanted me to talk about. I just think that AI is incredible for helping students structure their own project-based learning programs, in terms of helping them scope and sequence the number of weeks, what they want to put in there, but also formulate a very specific question of things that they want to find out. And once they've got that question, for me, it's all about students being able to develop their own rubric that they want to be assessed against, and then working together to assess against the framework that they've co-created using AI or certainly with their partner. So rather than having just one rubric for the whole class, I think using AI for project-based learning helps create different rubrics that maps out against student interest. And obviously, as part of that as well, students co-creating with AI, they can get that real-time feedback on their projects using things like Google AI Studio, Google Lens, to help them, really co-construct their different projects as well.
Awesome. A great way to start. Thank you, Phil. And some really interesting comments on there. I'm going to bring one. I can bring one in. So, Sapna recently took part in Action Research Conference, University of Birmingham, and ethical use of AI with quality first teaching was our main research topic. So really, yeah, I think there's a lot of people agreeing with, like, we want to use it, we want to bring it in, but again, ethical, how are we using it, and how do we align it pedagogically? How do we align it then with the teaching practices? And that's one thing I'm looking forward to now, because I know that I've got Katia, who's coming up, who's going to show us a little bit then about how you're using it and the ways that you've obviously brought this in to that. So let's just go back onto this and bring in this part for you as well. Amazing. Right, Katia, the stage is yours.
Okay, thank you so much. I shall do that. So I think, can you see my screen? Not quite yet. Or can you? I'm not 100% sure. Hold on, present and stop screen. Nope, share screen, sorry. I think we are here. Here we go. Okay, so then can you see the screen?
Bear with me 1 second. No, you're going to need to come back to it. So if you click on the bottom where it said present, and then you just...
Okay.
We had it up a minute ago.
Present.
And then you add it in there. And then I've got it here. So if I add that to the stage, it's all set for us. So you'll probably just see your screen as normal. You go through it. We're all good. We can see it perfectly.
Okay. Can you see it now?
Yep, all good. We got it.
Can you see my display? Yeah, you're good. So sorry about that. Okay, so when I was tasked to think about what I'm going to talk about today, I thought the easiest, well, not the easiest actually, most important bit for me was something I had to think about, something I use every day. I use a lot of AI every day, but I was thinking, okay, what is the most important part for me? And I think because obviously as teachers we do a lot of things, and I teach ESL, I teach Mandarin, and also obviously I'm in contact with parents and quite busy, and I think most of the teachers are really busy. So I created a teaching assistant in GPT. So it's a custom GPT and it's called My Teaching Assistant, and if I open it for you now, so I'm going to have a look, you're going to have a look at the inside of it. So what I did is I did a weekly and daily school day assistant, and I uploaded my weekly lesson plan prompt. What's important for that? It's basically the lesson plan prompt, which should be based on your school, on your organizational lesson plan. So obviously, I uploaded the prompt which was right for our lesson plans. You might have slightly different one. I do have a prompt for that if anybody would need it. So I uploaded the weekly lesson plan prompt, my curriculum maps for grade 11, grade 12, so the grades that I teach. I also have a really good ChatGPT prompt which will help you create a curriculum map. If somebody needs it, then please give me just comment here. And so I uploaded the books that I use with my students, and I also uploaded my schedule, and so in my schedule. That's all. That's all it is. I then instructed my custom GPT to generate the weekly lesson plans to build my daily schedule, and then I don't know. Can you see the instructions?
Yeah, it's all good. We got it.
Okay, good. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. And I've got my daily schedule, the clarification and adaptation, curriculum references. So when I was thinking about the instructions for my custom GPT, I basically just typed it in GPT, and I asked it to customize it for my custom GPT. So I said, how can you make it as clear as possible for my custom GPT so it follows my exact instructions? And it did. And to be honest with you, I always check what it does, and I always kind of trying to think, okay, is that exactly what I asked? And I so far didn't have to correct it, which is incredible, because I do know about hallucinations and things like that, but so far it's been amazing. I'm going to demonstrate it, just a second. So for example, if I ask it, so every Monday I come in and I say, can you give me my Monday schedule? And here we go. So it will give me my Monday schedule, but I instructed it to give me my learning intentions and lesson objectives in the schedule. So basically, when I come in, I already know what my day looks like. So, and yeah, if you can see, so everything is here. So obviously, it just saves me quite a lot of time. It's also, for example, I might say I forgot to make, I don't know, I didn't do any planning for my period 4. So I'll say, okay, can you create a worksheet for my period 4? And it will do just that, based on the textbooks that I uploaded. So what I did is I linked my curriculum map to my textbooks, uploaded it all as PDF, and it does everything that I need, basically right here. I then I can upload those into Brisk and Brisk boost it for students, or I can, so it does so many things. It does my Blue Kit, my Gym Kit, Excel spreadsheets. It does slide decks. It does pretty much everything that I needed to do. So for teachers, if you need to have everything in one hub, it's basically does everything for you. Quite quickly, and you can obviously download it. What I do is to keep me even more organized. I then transfer my schedule into, it probably will be on my Tuesdays. Yeah, it is on my Tuesdays. Sorry, I'm preparing for tomorrow. But I did have one for today, but you can have a look at Tuesday. So, oops. Where did it go? Oh, here we go. So tomorrow I'm going to the Red Crescent Awards trip with my students, and as well as everything else, I'm not actually on campus tomorrow. So when I was preparing my lessons for tomorrow, I asked my custom GPT to make my lessons so they are okay for when the classes are covered, so I'm not there. And again, it's adjusted my lesson plan to make sure that the students can work independently. Yeah, and the activities that it did for me, I just copied and pasted into my Padlet, and I will give students the link for my Padlet, and they will just work supervised by another teacher tomorrow. So yeah, that's where I'm at the moment. I just think it's a very useful tool if you are a busy teacher. It's a really good tool it's a very good thing to have.
It reminds me somewhat, I was talking to my kids about this, as like Tiago Forte's second brain. And I know a teacher at our school, Phil, that would love this, because they are also very organized, have the whole year. And so being able to put that whole scheme of work and the whole book into it, yeah, it's just, I've not seen it used like that before. It's really, really interesting. What's one of the questions we've had here? Someone's commented this, like based on a very, I think someone said they've made something similar for their Sapna again, made it for my students to use it through links so they can learn to ask the right questions too, and also understand these points of which. So again, an MYP perspective of this as well. I think that is a really interesting take. I've not seen it used like that previously. And yeah, I really, really like that. So thank you, Katia, for sharing that. It's a really interesting, I'm going to use the word innovative, almost a very different approach on it. You're right there, Phil. You're going to say something, Phil?
Yeah, no, I'm just thinking about that. That's amazing, by the way. You can see that all the work that you put into that is really paying you back every single day. That you need that. And I just think, that's just the magic of tools, really, isn't it? Obviously, Katia, you've taught yourself to do that. I'm sure you have by trial and error. And I just think if we can pass that skill on to students, especially ones that are doing their GCSEs, their A-levels right now, that helps them organise, even just create, activities to say, okay, this is my schedule, these are all my workbooks. I'm really struggling with this in this lesson, and period 4. Can you give me this to revise? I just think it's such a great tool for them, isn't it? And obviously as professionals as well, but as a learning tool, it's endless, really, isn't it?
Yeah, so good, so good. Thank you so much for that, Katia. Really, really appreciate it. We're now going to move on to Mr. Barry Cooper. And whilst we do that, I got you there. One of the questions we had that came up, Barry, I'm going to bring up onto the screen so you can see, from Zainab. And she said, I positively agree with teacher training on AI, and this was coming from Phil's. But the question is, how are we approaching leadership training to better lead school in the AI era? Now, I'm curious from your side, before you dig into your talks for us, have you had anyone or worked with your SLT team about developing their leadership or leading with AI?
No, not in that way. No, not at all. So we took the focus that it was entirely about the students. And what I found so interesting with Katia's was using AI in an administrative kind of way to help teachers be teachers and be better at what they do. Whereas for us, we just went hell for leather, creating bots to help in different subjects. So I have a history bot that's kind of uses the same techniques, but is entirely focused on the students. So at no point did we take that step back and go, how can we make our lives easier? So it's something that's really interesting, and I think it's something that's going to develop over time in terms of how we lead with this. Because I think AI at the moment is very much like Roadrunner, and we are all Wile E. Coyote. We are not going to catch it at any point. So we just have to learn how to live with this thing that just keeps going at 100 miles an hour. And we're just kind of, okay, well, this is useful, and kind of trying to catch up and see how we can use it and how we can maximize the impact for our students, but also our colleagues.
Definitely. So the floor is yours now, Barry. We've obviously given you this opportunity. I was going to say, we've put you at the last turn, but you got a tough one to follow here. Ladies and gents, he's going to whip something out of a magic hat. I tell you this much now.
So I have no magic hat at all. And as much as this is all about AI, all about the use of technology, I don't even have a PowerPoint presentation or a video to show you. I'm just going to talk to you about what we did and all of the different mistakes that we made and all of the things that we really screwed up, and then the way in which we came back to it to try and understand how we can do things for the best outcomes of the students. So I think thinking back to the previous comment that was made by one of the listeners about aligning AI with ethical practices. And so for us, when we were dealing with this, what we wanted to do was, how can we really maximize the centuries of experience in the school? Because that's what we have. We have centuries upon centuries upon centuries of teaching experience, life experience in our schools. And by maximizing that, we get the very best outcome, because teachers and teaching is what we're all about. So we decided to trust our team, and we decided to trust our teachers. And we realized very quickly, as we built the school, we're a new school. We started in 2022. AI was just kind of erupted that November with OpenAI and ChatGPT, and so we started to think about, us in building the school, we wanted to create something with student agency. So we had to turn that around and think about how we were going to deal with this new problem or opportunity, and we decided to see it as opportunity. And we knew that right at the very start, we could not legislate for this technology. We knew it was going to move fast, and as we kind of kept going, it kept moving faster. So we came to the conclusion that we had to legislate ourselves and understand that we had to decide what we were going to think about when we thought about technology. And I'm a sci-fi fan, so we went back to classic sci-fi, Isaac Asimov, and the 3 laws of robotics, which eventually became 4 laws of robotics. But for that, what it was, well, we're going to make sure when we're using this new technology that we know what it is and how we use it. So we wanted to make ourselves consciously incompetent. So we knew what we didn't know. And that was for us, the teachers, and also for our students. We decided that we were never going to use it unless we'd already taught something about this, that the students are coming from a position of power. It was always going to be used as a collaborator in the classroom. And then finally, it was always going to be used through the lens of critical thought. Now, we're an IB diploma school, so for us, we could then tie that into our TOK. And we actually run a series of lessons all about this every year, about critical thinking, about use of AI, and tying those two together. So that was something that we implemented in the classroom, and we then said, well, okay, well, how do we help people do this? So we needed an organized way to investigate and to create the opportunity for everyone to get involved, to have a look, to understand, and to move forward. So we created a no-fault experimentation process where I meet the team 3 times a week. So we have 3 20-minute meetings a week. We get together, and as part of that, it's about notices, it's about what's going wrong, it's about the flood we had last night, it's about a massive power cut in Spain and what we did well, which you may have seen on the news. But also it's about, hey, there's this new idea that I'm trying out. And if anyone else wants to trial this, then we can create the opportunity for you to get a year's subscription to these different tools, these different projects, these different websites, these different approaches. And we want you to look at that and come back to us in 3 months and tell us, well, is it good or does it suck? And we rely on our teachers, our colleagues, to just be honest about how this has changed what we do, and how actually, this is perhaps not so good, and this is not something that we want to use, because every day we see so much being thrown at us, and every day we have someone who's trying to sell us a new project that's going to change teaching irreparably. And I don't think that is ever going to be the case. I think teachers will change young people's lives. And these are tools that we can use really, really well. I'm stealing that, by the way. And so we have that process where a teacher will say, hey, can you feed me a subscription for X or Y? They'll take it away, they'll use it for 3 months, and then they'll come back and say, hey guys, this is why this was great, this is why it wasn't great. And we have that feedback session in those meetings, and then we see who else wants to get involved with that, and we get those early adopters taking that forward. Sometimes it's just one department, sometimes it's everyone. So obviously, originally the ChatGPT, the creation of bots, some used them, some didn't. And with that, we get a greater sense of what's out there, because people are exploring and people are looking for an edge for the students. They're looking for a way to make the classroom come alive in different ways. Just thinking about what we were talking about earlier, about the use of video. This is something, especially as Katia was mentioning, for second language students, the issues of communication and different ways of communicating. So just using these new tools in terms of the use of video production for AI. There's lots of subjects. I do this myself in my history classroom, is the use of these different technologies to get students to produce short videos about very complex ideas. So using TikTok, using AI, pulling it all together, and suddenly you've got a 60-second video on Marxist historiography. Now, you may think that sounds boring, but for me, that's a dream come true, because the students are using these different bits of tech, and then suddenly they're coming back together again and going, hey, here's this really complex idea boiled down into a minute. And that helps them engage with this, often very complex idea in a different way, and gets them enthused, gets them excited, gets them driving on what they're doing in the classroom. So we also, and this is, we're a school based on student agency, so we bring the students into this. So I have an advisory board of students, the tech advisory board, and we meet every month or so, and we sit down and we say, look, what's everyone using? Because our students, especially when you're running IB students, 16, 17 plus, they are so far ahead, because what they're doing is they're looking every day and seeing new technology, they're adopting it, they're trialing it, and we get so much great intel from our students about what's really working for them. And this is also being adapted in our classrooms. So thinking about our school as a collection of relationships, especially when it comes to things like AI and what we can use and how we can use it, strengthens those sets of relationships, strengthens what we're doing in the classroom, and strengthens the outcome for the students. I think overall, you have so much there that it's possible just to get you to drown in the sea of new opportunities. So by finding a way through that with a system and a process, you can weed out the carpetbaggers and the snake oil salesmen. You can find a way for your staff, who you absolutely trust, to do the very best for the students, and your students, who really want to get great grades, to find the ways through these materials and see how they can be used to their very best. And from that, you get great outcomes. I just literally today, I had one of the students in showing me a microsite for a charity project he's working on, and I asked him how long it took him to build, and he said, no time at all, sir. I used AI. That's where we're at. That's how we organize ourselves here in order to make things go forward in the best possible way. Hopefully that explains how we do it here at the Global College.
It was great, Barry. I love the fact, talking about education, talking about technology and AI without the use of technology and AI is also like, you say this, but one of the things I flagged up today, I think I posted it just before, a couple of hours before we came on, Simon Sinek and Stephen Bartlett, Diary of a CEO, was talking about how AI manufacturers, AI platforms are lying to us, basically. And one of the things Simon Sinek talked about was about the erosion of vital human skills. And the fact that you just managed to speak fluently for 7 minutes, give or take, is one of those vital human skills that we really need to maintain. So these conversations have been amazing. And I think it's looking at it from a teacher's perspective, like Katia, how do we utilize it to help us become effective and efficient so that we can give better and build better relationships with students, deliver better and more engaging activities for them. And then Phil in itself, when you were talking about this, the concept of upskilling students, but within that, if we blend what we've all seen together tonight, I think a lot of it is then about, even though we want these things, the key thing is about how we can still build human flourishing, how we can, I'm going to put one of the things they said, I know, bless, I love that. The struggle. So the struggle and the journey versus the destination. I think that's absolutely, I think that's one of the things we've hit on most definitely in terms of that, and to what we want for our students. We still need them to struggle. It's been an absolute pleasure listening to all of you. I'm going to throw it open. We've had a few questions that have come through. One I'm going to bring up on here. I like this one. An AI policy within your schools to support authenticity along with the usage of AI. It's a good question. I have an answer, or I have at least something. But before I jump in, Phil, Katia, Barry, I know you're all muted because you're so kind and polite and listening to me. But if any of you want to jump in, Barry, were you raising your hand then?
Well, yeah, this is a new program for me, so I couldn't figure out how to press the button to say I wanted to speak. I'll just say that this is a really important question, and it's not one that I don't think anyone's getting right at the moment. So we've tried to get it right by having these 4 kind of rules that we put in place to make sure that people know what they're talking about before they start using it. They use it as a collaborator, and to try and instill that academic honesty as part of what they're doing, because otherwise, the objective of education just kind of goes out the window, and instead it's just it's an Ouroboros, and you just the academic kind of snake is eating itself. So that's what we've got to. But I don't know if there are better kind of approaches that Phil and Katia have.
This is a really tough one, isn't it, really? And it's a really important one, like you said. I think, and we touched on this a few weeks ago, in terms of the authenticity, that's a hard word to say on Monday evening, of students' work and what they're submitting and what AI is produced and what they've produced. It's a really good we have to get ahead of this. We really do. And I think the policy has to be really clear as well. And the expectation around it is, I want students to be producing work with AI. But what I want to see is students showing and talking about and commentating on how AI has developed their thinking, what they now know and where they're going to go next. And that's where I want to see the learning. I want to see that metacognition of them developing their critical thinking. I don't want to see an essay that's just been copied and put in. There's no authenticity to that whatsoever, and it takes 2 minutes. And if you want to do that, there's always going to be students that do that, by the way. Of course there are, but there's going to be those that want to use it and they want to develop and they want to grow with it. You know, that level of authenticity has never changed. It just comes down to the willingness, I think, of the students and the practice of the school.
Yeah. From my side, I view authenticity slightly differently. I view authenticity as real world problems and giving them real world scenarios to tackle through. Yeah. So from my side, I will use AI to help me generate a real world problem. And then I'll give it to the students and maybe layer it so that they can think first, no AI, no technology, think, collaborate, communicate, see what you can come up with. And then maybe start to offset components of it into that. So yes, ideation, yes, feedback, yes, you know, bring a piece of text in, bring a video in, summarize. Then you have to bring it all into your ideas yourself. So for me, authenticity, I get what they're saying is like, we want students to create authentic work. I think that's gone. I think the ability to do that is really challenging. We want them to think authentically, but I think in terms of doing that, it's about getting them to solve real world problems or giving them real world scenarios.
Everything you said for me there is them developing their prompts.
Yeah.
You've given the problem, and then all those things that they've brought in becomes their prompts engineering. That's what they're doing. They're bringing in the video. They're bringing in their questions. They're bringing in their friends to develop and build on that idea. They're uploading a sketch or a drawing that they've done that kind of, you know, brain dumping that puts in there, and that basically becomes their prompt, and then that guides their future learning. I think that's the authentic part behind it, and that's what I want to see when they submit work. Is what was your initial thoughts? This is what AI is giving you, and what are we doing? What we're doing now? And
yeah, that's it. Katia, were you going to bring in something as well?
I agree with those ideas. There was all three of you. I just wanted to say the person who asked the question is actually my amazing VP. We're asked not to watch the video because I thought I will be very embarrassed, but here she is asking the questions. So hi, Miss Crystal. Thank you so much for watching and for asking questions. Good question. Yeah, so yeah, no, that's it. But I do agree with everything that you said.
It's a good question. It was a good question to have there. Here's an interesting comment really that's made. Sapno has been really proactive, so thank you for that tonight, Sapno, on this. Recent studies, 94% of the students know how to use AI, but only 24% of facilitators know how to use it. Yeah, I think that's a competency, confidence. There's a few more C's that I think we can bring into that with it as well. But I think you're right in terms of we're here, and I wouldn't say we remove the word expert, doesn't exist. I think what we've got is to do with people who are at the vanguard, trying to kind of push through a little bit and share what we're doing and be creative. And I'm very lucky that I think a lot of us get to work in institutes or lead institutes that promote a culture of, you know, risk taking. Very IB learner profile of me there, but the risk taking component of it, so that I can see these questions that are coming up now. I'm going to bring another one in. It's like, I would love to hear more from Phil about it. Curious about leadership, Peter, that aligns with education today. Middle leader myself, whether it's a curriculum reform or managing information or being So again, it's a very similar thing, being tech educated. We're seeing this come up a few times now about teachers wanting to learn more. And you and I have had this conversation, Phil, haven't we, about the PD being delivered in schools and having, you know, it's difficult if you don't have someone who's leading on AI. Not every school has that. And that's the challenge in itself, isn't it?
They get left behind, aren't they? Just to come back, I know it said whatever the survey was, it was 94% of students know how to use AI. I'd say 94% of students don't know how to use AI. Actually, I think using ChatGPT isn't using AI. It's generative AI. I think this is the whole point, is that actually students don't know how to use it. You know, Katia has given a really good example of actually how to use ChatGPT to become a better student. So I would say that they don't know how. We know they don't. But we see them, they're fumbling around with it at best, aren't they? You know, and that's absolutely fine. You need to fumble around something to learn But yeah, this is a good question by Zainab.
Yeah. And then another one in terms of, like, we've got this one. Who will be responsible for security and ethical use of AI collected data in schools? I was able to get, I think I spoke to about 12, maybe 15 AI developers or people over the Christmas holiday. Shameless plug here, but there's a really good podcast you can go and listen to that's got all of those on there, by the way. Everyone said, like, if you're giving something for free, the question is always, well, what are you doing with the data? Most of these people who are running tight ships, GDPR, and will be able to go, look, your data will stay with us for 30 days in a silo case because we have to because of fraud. And then after that, it's gone. Nothing happens with it. And I think that's a really good question to be asking. Security and ethical use, like Barry mentioned this, the best one, the snake oil salesman, the people rocking up every day going, oh, I've got this platform. Here's this new platform that can do this, buy this platform that can do that. It's like, if you're asking those right questions regarding security, ethical uses, all those questions that I think now more teachers are aware of, then you're doing the right thing. Like, ask those questions. If they can't answer you, no thanks, next. I think that's the best way to go with it. I realize, obviously, time-wise, where we're at, ladies and gents, we have had a fantastic, almost 60 minutes of this, and really, really appreciative of those of you who've been with us from the start or joined in halfway, and obviously to these three amazing guests that we've had who have given us this expertise, I'll use that word, sorry, but given us their insight and experiences of how they're utilizing AI within the classrooms or within schools as a whole, and empowering educators to really take that next step. And that's what the purpose of these webinars are. It's not that we're here as experts. It's like, hey, we're here, guys. We want to share with you what we're doing to allow you to make that next step. And one of the phrases I love at the moment is to widen the circle. Like this AI circle that we have, it seems so niche across things like LinkedIn, where most of us are. And we really want to broaden that circle. And having people like Phil and Katia and Barry even coming all the way from Spain really allows us to do that here in the UAE. So I'm massively appreciative of that. So to Phil, to Katia, and to Barry, thank you ever so much for your time with this. Really, really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Now,
thank you very much. Thanks.
Before I kick you all out, ladies and gents, what I am going to show you in terms of what we've got here is we do have our AI platform. Okay, so our AI platform on LinkedIn is the UAE Changemakers. Please come and join it. The white paper is on there. So I've got a couple of links that I'll send out with this as well that you can get access to. So on Deep AI, one of the things we have there is we have the white paper from the Changemakers. And within that, one of the things that we are launching in the next couple of days, and a few of the questions that came up about it, and you may have seen about this, is we've written a UAE AI literacy framework for educators, for students. There is a quick start guide that will be coming with this. And as well as that, there is also a piece for parents to help with. And one of the things, big ambitions that we have to start with when we come back in August is we're going to have an AI in action hub. So you can use those QR codes, you can go, you can have a look, you can sign up for these things so you can get information, get noticed about. So when these things launch, right in time for the induction week back to school. So if you are in a school where you feel like your PD isn't where you want it to be for AI, we will be offering courses, resources, and access to some important people who know what they're talking about to help you along with AI. But for now, it has been a fantastic hour, ladies and gents. Really, really appreciate you spending the time with us. This will be going out on YouTube for you to also access as well. But for now, any follow-up questions, please join the LinkedIn group. Come and ask our wonderful panel. But for now, ladies and gents, have a wonderful Monday evening and enjoy the rest of the week. And I look forward to seeing you soon in the next AI Changemakers live webinar.